Welcome back. Thank you. Thank you very much for your time. We're grateful that you can join us. A big thanks to all those supporting us. And of course, for those of you who are still contemplating on whether or not you want to do business with us, please do well to do business with us. Engage us. We have a big platform, 48 countries, right? On the African continent. Our social media, it's very, 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 very engaging. That will engage your kind of audience. We have got everyone locked here. And so you want to, there's a big Christian community, and data shows that there are some 700 million Christians that are ready to get some of these contents that we're doing. And so please make sure you use the platform as well. Well, let's get on to the conversation now. We're excited about this because it touches on a lot of things that a lot of you have spoken about. Sometimes you want to see the fine line between the pulpits and governance, the pulpits and politics. We say, or I say, I'm of the school of thought that there must not be a line, because my life here should be the same. Home should be the same at church, should be the same everywhere. But, well, we have differences. And so let's have that conversation. The future of Ghanaian governance, a call to the pulpit and the parliament, and so the role of these two institutions. Mr. Bismarck Tay is a leadership expert and a life coach. Dr. Joshua Pong-Safo is an executive director of New African Concept. They both join via Zoom. If you can hear me, good morning, and thank you very, 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 very much for your time.
Thank you very, very, very much, Kofi. And good morning to you.
Right. Is Doc on? Okay. Okay, right. We don't have Doc on, and so we're going to be starting the conversation, but I hope you're okay and your week has been good, sir.
Yes, I'm okay.
Right.
And my week has been good, yes.
Indeed. Your quick thoughts on, if you like, the issues, what I raised. I am of the view that there must not be a fine line. Whatever your morals, your beliefs, your principles are, they must be seen everywhere. If you are in the washing bay right now watching me, if you are in the taxi, and of course you are just watching via online, whatever it is that you exhibit there, you move to the other place, you need to do same. That is how I feel. Are there fine lines, nuances, fine details that will not, give you the way to express yourself the way you express, especially when you're in church and somewhere else at your workplace?
Okay, Kofu. First of all, I think this is an extremely important conversation because we meet this every day where some people have a kind of life when they are at home, when they are in church, when they are at work. And sometimes it's difficult to tell who really the person is.
That's right.
And what to expect. So sometimes people will tell you to have the full attention of this person, to be able to connect really with this person, meet them at home, not in the office, because in the office they are this way. And in leadership, if people cannot predict who you are at every time, you create confusion in the minds of not only your followers, but everybody around you. And bringing the conversation from the church governance, from the pulpit to parliament, as to whether we should have our politicians holding on to their Christian spiritual values, even in politics. The bottom line is this. The foundation of every leader is really your values and your belief system. Your values and your belief system, they are expressed through the decisions you make, what is a priority to you, how you treat people, and how you generally conduct yourself as a leader. And so you are just one human being. You can't have a set of values in the church, which can only be expressed in the church, and then there are different values in politics and different values elsewhere. It can only be one. And so for me, I hold a personal view that whoever you are, your authenticity should manifest everywhere you are, and there shouldn't be specific places. So we should have our leaders, our political leaders, doing what we expect them to be doing, assuming they were in church. And then the same, those in church, when they find themselves in politics, there shouldn't be a different personality or a different leader for us to see.
So let's now get into it. And I know you are able to help us with this as well because of your background. Let's look at faith leaders. And it's no brainer that we have some parliamentarians who are men of God, of course, who are wearing clerical, duly ordained, if you like, as the records will show. How can they effectively promote the issues of integrity, purpose, and character within the setting that has also another culture that others also bring onto without compromising? Because that is where the fine lines, they say, must be drawn, where things you don't have to say, agree to, but there's a culture of the place as well. How do you single yourself out and not become them so that you can also stay there and even, if you like, win them onto our side?
Okay, so first of all, every system was created by people. Our political system was created, designed by people. And if you look at Ghana, we are largely a Christian nation, although we have all other religions. And so we can safely say that, at least in designing the current political system we have, we've had quite a number of Christians represented in that process. So safely, we can't say that the system has been designed anti-religion or anti-Christian. Now, you, an ordained minister of God, who feel your life purpose on this earth is to work for people, God's people. That's what essentially the life purpose of a religious leader is. And then through maybe education, training, background, passion, you realize that another way of expressing your purpose on earth is through political leadership, such that you become a light there to be an example of living your Christian values and principles within the context of political leadership. And you find yourself there, working with people, most of which would share the same values and principles with you. I always say this: if values are not tested and you win, you can't say you have them. So, an ordained minister of God, if values are not tested and you win, you can't say you have them. Anybody can say, I have values, but what if those values have not been tested? Until they are tested and you win the test is when you can say that I have these values. And so if an ordained minister of God, who prior to joining the political system leadership, says, this is me, I hold all these values, and then you go there and the system, you can't find a way to still live your values, those values that you claimed you had before you joined the political leadership, then we can't say you had them in the first place. Because really, anybody can say, I am this. Anybody can say, I am incorruptible. Anybody can say that, but let's assume you've not even there was not an attempt of bribing you with 1,000 cedis, and then you say you are incorruptible. The day 2 million Ghana cedis, $2 million will be presented to you as bribe, what would you say? That is the only time, if you can still hold on, that is when we can say, really, you are incorruptible. So for me, it's a matter of integrity, self-integrity, where your values are really values that you took your time to build and you own them by yourself, not just borrowed, values and beliefs. So when you truly own them, wherever you are, you should know that as not just a Christian, but a spiritual leader who was ordained, and you are coming into the political system, you are going to be a light. And so that burden of self-integrity should always be present in whatever you do. So when that happens, finding that thin line, it will become easy. The thing is, if you don't clearly have your values and you know them, that is when anything can shift you. But if you do, and it's not just a lip service, when you go there, you know that this is not right, this is not right. Let me just cite an example. Right. This is not to maybe be political against any party, but I heard from a very close source that our current vice president, Professor Jenana Opoku-Agyeman, for her, so far, any idea you bring to her, the question she would ask you is, how does this impact the lives of the ordinary Ghanaian?
Oh, wow.
So she's gauging, it's like she's sieving whatever she will do through the sieve of the ordinary people, compassion for the ordinary people. And that is a value as well. It's just one of them. So you see, if over a period you've been compassionate about the average, the ordinary Ghanaian, then when you find yourself in the political space, then it becomes automatic almost for you to gauge everything you will do through that. And that is how you live it. So for me, I really don't see a person who really took time to get to form their values and their belief system. It's tested over a period. The person is grounded in them. I don't really see what will happen, and then you go there and you be like them. We have a lot of people who play lip service with values and beliefs in Ghana.
I see. Let's get on to the other issue of the faith community versus civic responsibility. I say this because the faith community also has a role to play in terms of not only speaking or preaching or spreading the gospel, but also speaking to the ills of society. What are the boundaries looking like, especially when they sometimes come across to people who are extremely political, and I'll call them, for want of a better expression, political animals, who are ready to devour them because they've spoken against their government, because they've spoken against ills that happened within a period where their government were. What should be the boundaries? What should be the role, and how should they play those roles so that they also support whatever the calls are from civil society organizations, pressure groups, and all of that?
You see, Koku, this is a two-way thing. And to be in a very good place as a religious society to comment on civic issues, national issues, your consistency matters a lot.
Okay.
Are there times you speak and are there times you don't speak? The times you are speaking, are they personally motivated or not? You see, so the public looks at this to say that your comments hold credibility or not. So if and really, you see, I believe our religious leaders, they should be like the moral compass of our society. Unfortunately, very, very unfortunately, we see a lot of them. We see a lot of them being so personal and partisan, where the consistency in how they criticize what is happening and even the solutions they prefer. So it is not only you complaining, you criticizing, but what are the alternatives? And what is the advocacy? I believe religious organizations should do advocacy as well, to say that, okay, we've looked at A, B, C over a period. These are the problems. And so can we look at this as solutions? so that people know that you are just not interested in either criticizing for the sake of it, criticizing to make political statements, to win favor, but really you are interested in the development of this country. And whilst doing that, people also look at you, the spiritual leader who is criticizing, how is the leadership playing in your church? So as much as we would want the political, the religious leaders to hold our political or civic leaders responsible, it is the manner in which they do it, to the extent that currently, when a person speaks, a religious leader speaks, you have to really listen, pay attention, cast your mind back to tell you whether this is really somebody you should be listening to or not, which is wrong. I believe, again, as we are expecting holding the highest levels of integrity from our political leaders, same is expected, or even more, from our religious leaders, such that we don't have to second guess them when they speak. We don't have to be thinking, is this politically motivated or not? They should be the moral compass. And if they also fail, then the Ghanaian is really in trouble, because who do we tend to speak for the voiceless? And a lot of our political leaders, they all belong to churches. They all belong to, some are Muslims, they have their imams. The Christians have their pastors. And if their religious leaders cannot in all honesty speak to their conscience on certain things, then who helps them? Who helps them?
Where are we at this point? And for those of you just joined the conversation, we're still talking about the pulpit and governance, the fine lines that should be drawn, should not be drawn, and how they can merge, how they can collaborate and fix their communities or their catchment area. And that's what we are discussing. And so if you know anything about this, do share with us. Make sure you send your messages via live stream on YouTube, My Dominion TV. Drop your comments and your thoughts, your questions, even to our guest, Mr. Bismarck. He's a leadership expert with the John C. Maxwell team as well. And of course, a life coach, helping us to understand some of these things and to unpack the conversation real good. Let's get on to where we are as a church, the body of Christ. Look, we have come under immense criticism over the period, and it's not stopping anytime soon, I guess, because the excesses are becoming too much. Yet, one of the spaces that is left to, rub on the ills of society and to change it to effect some paradigm shift is the body of Christ. Yet, we cannot seem to find our grounds. Just only few men of God you can mention around, and of course, who are doing the right way. I mean, I'm not anyone to judge, but I mean, you can tell for yourself. So how do we bring about the collaboration? I want you to touch on that first, and how we can fix our image, then how the civic, the leaders can also collaborate with them. First of all is the issue of collaboration, but of course our image right now and of course our practice.
Our image is very bad. Very, very bad, because a lot of our church leaders, for the lack of a better expression, are directed by their stomach to make decisions and comments and what's not. To the extent that even within the church leadership, from the charismatics to Pentecostals to the Orthodox churches, you see sometimes pastors calling out each other. Meanwhile, the body of Christ is supposed to be one, working together. But you will find this, well, the Bible says when the end times are near, you see a lot of the false prophets. I dare say, you see, we have the charismatic churches. There is a leadership. There is a leadership for the Pentecostal. There is a leadership for the Orthodox churches. what is the leadership role that these leadership structures are playing over their members, the pastors and church leaders, let's say within the Pentecostal, within the charismatic, within the Orthodox churches.
Right.
Because they should hold their colleagues to account.
Mm-hmm.
They should be able to tell their colleagues that, okay, what you are doing, this might not be right. Can you do it this way? So if the leadership of the leaders, the Christian leaders, is failing to hold their members, their pastors accountable, then really the church member, the ordinary church member, what is he or she able to do? So I am placing some burden of responsibility on the leadership, the top leadership of all these churches. I don't know how they are structured. I am a Catholic, and I know for the Catholic Church, as a Catholic priest, you are seriously regulated by your bishop, and they can hold you to account. They can sanction you. I don't know what happens at the Pentecostal level, the charismatics level, but I feel strongly that if it is there, we will need to raise up the leadership in terms of regulation and supervision.
Okay.
There was a conversation I was involved in recently about the state regulating churches in order to do away with some of these false prophets and the overly dramatic Christian practicing of Christianity. And so in the conversation, I felt really sad that we claim we are a body of Christ. We are living the examples of Christ, and we can't self-regulate, and we will need states to come and regulate churches. It's a failure on the part of religious or Christian leadership. And so I feel if the current leadership structures that we have within the church can play a better role at regulating the members, the leaders, the church leaders, pastors, then we have one step. But the major responsibility lies on the individuals, where the Christ that you are claiming to be professing, the Christ that you are claiming to be leading your people to, it's as simple as asking yourself, the things I'm doing, are they reflecting Christ? You see, if we can hold ourselves personally accountable to the dictates of Christianity, we don't need any external person to come and regulate us.
I see.
So yes, the picture is very bad now, but I believe we can work around it. One, our personal commitment. If you claim you are a pastor, a church leader, then your leadership, your lifestyle must reflect the Christ that you are leading the people to. And then secondly, the leadership structures within the various classes of the church must play better roles at regulating and guiding the activities of the pastors.
I see.
Now you ask for collaboration.
Yes, of course. Before we get quickly on that before we get on to the other issue.
Okay. So in terms of collaboration, it's needed. For me, I think the best collaboration and for the church is that the church must play a moral compass role for our political or civic leadership. Because really, everybody needs somebody to be guiding them. Everybody needs somebody to be holding them accountable. We all need that. And the church can play that role. It doesn't always have to be in front of the cameras or publicly, but private meetings, you see something going on, and then you can privately get close to these people and guide and advise in all of that.
Okay.
Then collaboration in development. A lot of churches are into development. Look at Dominion. There's a university which is educating the population. And so in terms of collaboration in advancing development initiatives, interventions, it is key. And a lot of churches too, they have They have several branches all spread across the country.
Right.
And so the churches, if they want to go into research to influence national policy, the church is in a good place to do that.
Okay.
Because they have a lot of their people spread across the country. And so the church can really contribute to nation building if it wants to.
Okay.
Even beyond what is really being done in terms of schools and hospitals, but research in terms of maybe training leaders, a certain kind of leaders, and to fit into the civic space. That is one other collaboration the church can be deliberate in doing, such that it becomes easier now. You train, you groom the leaders with the values and belief systems. And when you feel they are ready, you help them into the space, and then they go to bring Christ into whatever space they find themselves.
Right. We'll take a break at this point. When we come back, we'll conclude the discussion. I want us to get into the issue of how faith and law it must interplay, how we can interweave them, and what the results will be, and what the excuses are right now. I'll paint a picture. We'll have a very interesting one. Stay with us. We're right back.
It's a daily necessity for daily triumph.
Africa, we must unite.
We are getting Abrahamic rewards, but we are running away from Abrahamic responsibilities.
Where should Africa sit and stand in this new world order?
Africa has the youngest, fastest growing population. That's a blessing, but it's also a challenge.
Yeah.
Who did God describe as the man after his own heart?
David.
Adam.
My experience, nothing short of amazing.
I never believed I'll be able to do this. Dominion TV's Emerging Leaders program has taught me skills about marketing in a corporate setting.
My name is Danny Glover, and you're watching
Dominion TV.
Welcome back. We're still having a conversation with Mr. Bismarck. He's a leadership expert with the John C. Maxwell team and also a life coach. We've been talking about the pulpits and governance, how we can connect those, how we can have better governance that is backed by beliefs, principles, that, stimulates growth and development. That's all we want to see, and that's what we want to see. So we want to see the Christians be true Christians wherever they serve, especially in Parliament, and then we want to see the Muslims be the true Muslims that they are, wherever they serve, in what capacity. Some message coming in. So Solomon Ajete says, hashtag Wake Up Africa. Special greetings to Doc. I always enjoy the show. You can also send your messages and I'll read to the world. Let's come back to the conversation now. During the vetting of the justices, the 7 justices, just about a week or so ago, there was this particular conversation that came up, the issue of the LGBTQ and the law versus the faith. And I'm paraphrasing what one of the nominee, Supreme Court, judge nominee had to say. Says that the law will remain the law and not be mixed with faith. As far as I am concerned, and as I sit here, the 3 major religions right here in Ghana i.e. the Christian religion, the Islamic religion, and the traditional, African traditional religion, the three of them frown on things that we all frown on. So they will definitely want you to eschew greed, dishonesty, and all of that. So I am finding it difficult to understand why faith cannot mix with the law or back it so much so that these three will hold hands and go to Parliament and say, most of the things that you do must be on social. I mean, that's possible, isn't it? Or, I mean, in the world of leadership, it's a non-starter.
So, Kopu, when it comes to faith and law, I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah, of course, I needed to issue that disclaimer. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm sorry for putting you on the spot, but go ahead.
I'm not a lawyer, but what I know is laws are made for people. People of a particular society. In our case, the Constitution is for the people of Ghana. The Constitution of Togo is different. The Constitution of Cameroon is different. The Constitution of the United Arab Emirates, if there is, it's different. In each of the Constitution or the laws, the laws represent how that society should be governed, taking into consideration the peculiar nature of the people, i.e. their culture, their traditions, their beliefs, their hopes, their aspirations. They come together. They must be reflected in the laws that govern that society. And so here in Ghana, you rightly said we have three major religions. And I dare say all of them were adequately represented in the coming out of the Constitution of Ghana. Just on Monday, I was in WA. I took part in the Constitution Review Committee Public Forum on the review of the Constitution that's currently ongoing in WA. And the whole day you see suggestions from people, from traditional leaders, from different religions and all of that, which I believe was the same thing that happened before this current constitution.
Yes.
And so it shouldn't be difficult for laws to reflect the values, the beliefs of the society for which the laws have been made for. If a law cannot be applied for the people the laws have been made for, then I'm not a lawyer, but this is common sense that there is deficiency in the law. Because you can't make laws that cannot guide. For instance, if, say, Ghana were to be 100% Islamic, maybe 95 to 100% of the people of Ghana are Muslims, and then the Constitution frowns on Islam and rather promoting Christianity, then we'll say that Constitution, there's a problem with it.
Yeah.
So again, for me, the current state of our laws and agreement, especially on key issues such as the LGBT, it's a matter of, is there clarity enough in our Constitution? The people to interpret the Constitution, how well are they interpreting it? Or the interpretation is from everybody's point of view and personal point of view, personal interest. I don't really think that we have such a big problem that our laws are not, say, good enough for Ghanaians, but it's about, and as we have seen over the past few years, sometimes a case goes to court, this is the judgment, a similar case goes to court, and there is an opposite judgment, and you'll be wondering, so what really is the law?
I see. There's also a particular question about whether or not in the exercising of your faith, you are able to, so for instance, take, okay, so let's do the Islamic religion. You are exercising, okay, so let's just quickly rephrase and do this particular one. I mean, once we talked about partnerships, we talked about collaborations, we let's venture into the issues of whether or not we have to look at where you are coming from and what your belief systems are, your principles are, before you come into some of these spaces. Should that be a prerequisite? Should that be on the agenda, top on the agenda, if we have to select our leaders?
100%. You 100%, because as I said in the beginning, really the effectiveness and relevance of a leader really is not about just skills. It's about your belief systems, principles, what forms the foundation of you. And so your skills, your knowledge, how you go and express them, how you go and work, your values and beliefs, they will determine going to this space, do this way and not that way. And so if we have people who come into national leadership and they've not gone through a process where their beliefs are formed, their values are formed rightly to really meet the demands of our current society, then when they are failing, it becomes a shared responsibility on a society that needs to groom its leaders, and then the leaders themselves not preparing themselves.
Let's practicalize it. I want you to help us practicalize it. And so people are watching today and they are supposed to go and vote for parliamentarians, assemblymen, and even the president. What litmus tests what are the things on the litmus test that they must pass in the eyes of the people who are watching you right now? What must they be looking out for, especially when they are going to be selecting them?
So a lot of our political leaders, they've been student leaders. So while they were student leaders, what are some of the decisions they took, the effect? What was their conduct? The values that we expect them to live as national leaders, how were they living them? Because the student leadership, that's when they are forming their belief system.
That's right.
So what were they doing? Were they doing well? If they were not, I'm a life coach. I believe people change.
That's right.
But do you see, have you clearly seen that, okay, something happened that transformed this person, whether through training, coaching, mentoring, or some experience, that changed them. And today you can say that their values and their beliefs are better, and so they can be leaders. If you don't have any evidence of that, don't even try it. A very bad leader at a younger stage, if nothing is done to change the person and you give them higher roles tomorrow, they can only be high in how bad they were in the past. It won't change them. So it's from their journey of leadership. If they were not in student politics, maybe they were in youth leadership, maybe in the church or society, or they have been involved in one thing or the other, where you can observe what they are doing. If soon we'll be going into the assembly election, I think in a year and a half or so, we'll be going to the assembly elections. These are people you live with in the community, their personal lives, the work they do, and their families. How do they demonstrate integrity? Do you know what values they have? Values are supposed to be lived. So if a person is living the values, you will see it. They are not supposed to be said. So you observe them. And that will inform your decision and your conclusion whether really this person is worth giving a higher role in leadership. If not, we'll be making a mistake. The most terrible of all the mistakes in choosing leaders is where we've not had any evidence of a person going through leadership formation, either in practice. So the person has not held any leadership roles where we can see the person exercise leadership and we can rate the person's performance or help the person to improve. And then we pick the person from no experience and then to a top leadership position.
I see.
sometimes even the grace of God is not enough to help such a person to do well, because what you should learn by experience, God cannot teach you through one kind of revelation and tomorrow you are able to do well.
Well, unfortunately, when time is fast spent, that is when the very critical questions start popping into my mind. I don't know how it happens. The issue of, and so we can use 2 minutes to do this one quickly. The issue of faith and law comes the issue of mercy and justice. So for us in the Christendom, you've got to forgive 77 times 7 times. That is how it is. And so somebody does the thing, you need to forgive. The law says, well, when you do this, you have got to be punished so that it serves as deterrence. How do we do this so that we don't continually breed contempt in society where people just feel like, okay, because our Christian values say so, forgive the person, and the person goes ahead to do even more the next time?
Convo, I think even within our current legal system, there is still room for mercy. Because before a judge will pass judgment, they listen to the lawyers. Okay, so is this a first-time offender? That has to be established. What is even the demeanor of the accused person? Is there evidence of remorse? All these things, I understand the judges take into account to sentence the person. So on one hand, we will need to be merciful. On the other hand, we don't have to create a society where mercy has become a very easy alibi to a very easy excuse for misbehavior and repeated misbehavior for that matter. And so I strongly believe that how things are, you see, the law says this, but the law is not always, it's not administered in a very strict jacket way. Yeah. The judges listen. They look at what the situation is before they pass judgment, where there is even a correction element in whatever sentencing that is going to be done, so that the person is reformed, comes back better.
Okay.
So we can't say, even in the church, people are punished, aren't they?
Right. Yeah.
People are punished.
Yeah.
There are sanctions even among the church leaders. I'm a Catholic, and sometimes even some priests are deflogged. So again, we can't say because Christ is asking us to be merciful, so everybody has a license to misbehave, to sin. God even punishes at some point. And so for me, the current system, it works if the lawyers are able to argue very well and the judges are led with compassion and then performing the role of deterrence. Bringing these two together should help us keep a balanced society morally.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And that's Mr. Bismarck Tays, a leadership expert, a life coach, and part of the John C. Maxwell team. We're grateful. We've been talking about pulpit and governance, especially with regards to Parliament. Coming up tomorrow, we're having Pastor Kofai, Reverend Prince Ohini Bekoe will be joining us. Sarah Pia will be joining us. And of course, Joe Metal will also be joining us tomorrow. So you want to come by and be a part of the show, right? So those are the people we're hosting tomorrow. Please do join us and be a part of the show. As always, we are building a community, and so be part of the community. Dominion Hour is next. You want to stay? Let's get into some moments of prayers. Let's shout unto God once again. There's an opportunity that He'll hear our prayers. It's been a wonderful time. Thank you very much for joining us here on Wake Up Africa. Of course, with my co-host, evergreen co-host, Bia Dela. My name is Kokulumo. We'll see you tomorrow. God bless you. Bye.